Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Spotlight with Sarah. It is Monday, and it is a fabulous day. Hopefully, you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend. We are kicking off a really fun show. My guests love the peppy music. They like to dance. They like to be funny, like a little comedy. So we've got a little bit of everything in this show. It's a little bit different from what we've brought you in the past, but you're going to enjoy it because, like I said, we're going to have a little bit of comedy, a best-selling book on Amazon, some storytelling. Also, the local author and business owner behind all of that is with us today. His name is Carlos Maestas, and he wears many, many hats. Carlos, welcome, and thanks for.
Awesome to be with you. Thanks for having us.
Now, you are also the founder and chief storysmith at Key Ideas, and we're going to be learning more about Key Ideas and what you do there in a little bit. But we're going to talk about your new book, Carlos. Your new book is called Why Mommy Lied to God. And now people watching this and seeing this book for the first time, yes, there it is. Why the title? Where did you get that title?
Yeah, well, so the title is Mommy Lied to God, Life Lessons in Authentic Storytelling. And I'm not going to give away exactly where the title came from because I think part of joy in finding out about the title is reading it in probably what's my favorite chapter, which is chapter 3. So you don't have to wait too long to find out. But it's all about storytelling, and I truly believe that to be an authentic storyteller, you need to be original, and you need to write about yourself. And this title is very, very personal to me. It's a part of my own journey into learning what I know about storytelling and doing what I do for a living. So it's deeply personal to me, but it is, you'll find when you read the book that it also has the power to connect you with an audience that has a shared experience. And so I knew that I wanted to write a book, and I always knew that if I wrote a book, no matter what the book was going to be about, the title was going to be Mommy Lied to God. So this is it. I'm not going to totally give it away, but I have a background in doing stand-up comedy, so it's comedy related, and it's definitely connected to my own personal journey.
Now, comedy has a big part in the book and plays a large role in what you do at Key Ideas. Now, tell us a little bit about your stand-up comedy background. How has that helped you, and why stand-up comedy? I love it because I've always wanted to take stand-up comedy classes, and I never have. And
yeah,
maybe.
Well, you totally should. And so for me, I always tell people that going into stand-up comedy was just cheaper than therapy. And so every once in a while, I'd get to go up on stage and talk about my problems and get paid, even if it was just in the bar tab. So it was cheaper than therapy. But the thing about stand-up is, if you think about comedians and the best comedians that are out there, they have a very finite amount of time to get an emotional response out of an audience. And oftentimes what they're doing in their material is they're simplifying very complex issues. And so for me, I learned that, look, I don't have a lot of time to get people to laugh. So, I need to write about me. I need to write something that people are going to connect to, and hopefully get them to connect to something that they know about themselves that they find, funny. And that's what the best comedians do. And I think that is what we need to do as storytellers. So that was a part of my journey, and I still will do stand-up comedy from time to time. I don't get to do it as often as I would like, but I definitely try to throw some jokes in when I'm doing presentations and anytime I have a chance to speak in front of an audience. But I totally believe that you should try doing stand-up, and we're gonna get you to do stand-up. One of these days we're going to do it.
So because it's kind of a little bit nerve-wracking to me. So tell me, you said it's about just getting up there and talking about your problems. Can you give us an example of like the 2 opening lines or the couple of opening lines of one of your skits, one of your routines?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one joke. So, a lot of my material is about my divorce, and it was a hard time in my life. And so it was really one of those things where, I had a friend who was a comic, and his advice was just write about what you're going through. And it was, it was hard for me to fathom writing about something that was probably the most painful thing, in my life during that time and actually make it funny. But when I tried it, it actually just worked. So, one thing I used to say is like, I'm going through a divorce. I wanted to work things out, but her boyfriend wasn't willing to compromise.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, let me see her on Wednesdays and every other weekend. Let me get a month during the summer. I'm trying to negotiate. So things like that, things that were just sort of silly and but in some ways just connected to my own unique experience. And I think that you don't have to just talk about your problems. If you have a lot of problems, then you should have a ton of material to work with. But sometimes it's just things that you observe, right? Like things that that happen to be going on in that moment that people are going to connect with. So for instance, and it's a part of storytelling. If you think about just storytelling in general, right now, one thing that we all will share as humans is we are going through this horrible pandemic. It will forever be a part of our personal story, right? And it's something that we will throughout history be able to look back on and say, this is how it impacted me, right? And for me, it was learning how to be a homeschool father, right? To be a kindergarten teacher. And I think one silver lining in all this is that, we finally learn how to appreciate our educators because we have to actually do the work ourselves at home. So I was a kindergarten math teacher, and that's about the extent of the math that I feel qualified to do. And even then it was so hard. My daughter, I was like, okay, honey, you have 5 apples. You take 5 away. How many apples do you have? And she's like, 5. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 5? Really? You know how screwed you're going to be if you think you still have 5 apples, but you can't, you can't talk to your, as a teacher, you can't talk to your kids like that. But for me, I'm like, this is the hardest job ever. So, now we have a little dose of what it's like to be an educator, and I'm just like horrified. I did it for like 3 months, and I'm like, is she going to join a gang now? Because this is just a horrible experience for her. Like, what's going to happen? But it's one of these things that we'll be able to look back on this time and know, how it impacted us and be able to share that story, somewhere down the road. For some of us, it's going to be that we experience loss. Maybe that's loss of work, a loss of family members. And through, getting to a point where we're able to talk about it, we will be able to share something deeply personal to us, but something that others will be able to connect with because they have their own version of this experience.
Right. There's so many experiences and many to be shared. So, and I hope that you would one day give a seminar or something on stand-up comedy, because I would love to attend and learn even more. So
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yes. So you also you have a video that shows in more detail what you do and your mindset as you're crafting the story for a nonprofit or another organization or company whose message they want to share, or you want to help them share that message. So let's take a look at that video right now.
Great.
You already have all of the tools to become a great storyteller, and that's just your life experience. My name's Carlos Maestas, and I am the author of Mommy Lied to God, a book about storytelling. Whether we are aware of it or not, we are all storytellers. We use storytelling when we are applying for a job, when we're trying to get into a specific school, or when we're trying to ask for a second date. Nonprofits use storytelling to convince donors that they are worthy of an investment and that the work that they're doing is really having an impact. I wrote this book to help people just learn some really practical tools that they can use to become better storytellers. The principles in this book are taken from years of doing stand-up comedy and over 18 years now of working as a chief storysmith at Key Ideas, where we do video storytelling. This book really pulls from my experience of interviewing over 1,000 people from all walks of life. I really was compelled to write this book because I really feel like that all of us have a story to tell. Our stories are what make us unique. And our stories have the power to influence emotion in a room. And if you can influence emotion in a room, you have a great chance of moving people to action. I had to get this out. I feel like the more people who can learn these tools, the more powerful the impact can be of the work that they do. You can't afford to be the best kept secret.
Carlos, I've seen that video a couple of times and I just love it. I love it's powerful. It's a powerful way for you to describe what you do. I mean, I can see why, people feel you're an incredible storyteller. I mean, how did you do your own video?
Our company did. So first of all, thank you. Our company, Key Ideas, gets a lot of praise for the way we tell stories. And the reality is, it's our team that does it. It's a team effort. I have some incredible talent that I get to work with. Stephanie Gaetan, our senior producer, and Chris Branca, who is our DP and editor. They are the true talent behind our team. But we did produce this video, and I think the most important thing that I want people to remember is the book. It shares some personal stories, both professionally and just life experience stories. But what's the beautiful thing about the book is that it's really about the audience, and it's about the ability to harness the power and the equity that exists in their own story, and how you really can learn how to simplify your message and use your own unique experience to be a light and to be a guide to other people. And it could be, to advance your own career, or to raise money for nonprofits, or, sell more products in your business. Whatever it is. That's the beauty of storytelling, is that we all have one. It's your personal story or your business story. They're all aspects of what we do that are just true to us. And so my main motivation for this, for writing this book, was just to share what I've learned through, having done this the past 18 years, and letting people know that these are things that you can completely learn and master for yourself.
Now, and as you've mentioned, to do this work, you've developed a great team of people, a network of friends who you worked with throughout the years to be able to create these great projects, these great products and messages. So I do want to bring in now Cristina Sosa Noriega. She and Carlos have known each other for quite a few years. And Cristina, welcome. You're with the SAISD Foundation, but you guys have known each other from way back when. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So how did you and Carlos meet? What project did you first work on together?
So it's been a little over 5 years now, but right before the Dooseum was set to open, we were not struggling, but we're challenged to rebrand from the old San Antonio Children's Museum that was downtown to this new state-of-the-art learning center that was going to welcome students from all across San Antonio, welcome educators. And I was talking to my dad, actually. I'm like, I really need to get some awesome videos to tell this story. And he said, well, you have to get the best storyteller around, happens to be here in San Antonio, and his name is Carlos Maestas. And I'd met him a couple times informally because my dad's also in marketing and advertising, but those words were really, I'm so grateful again that he reminded me about Carlos, and I reached out to Carlos, and kind of the rest is history. He did a beautiful job of capturing the excitement that kids feel when they go to the Dooseum, of capturing the heart that the educators and the staff of the Dooseum put in, and the purpose, and he made the experience effortless for me. I didn't have to do really anything except for, hey, Carlos, can you help us? And he was amazing to work with, and his whole team was amazing to work with. So that was a really positive experience. And now we were reunited again when I joined the SAISD Foundation this past March. Carlos is a wonderful board member as well as the foundation. And so it's just a pleasure to get to work with him again.
And you guys have put together also a message for the SAISD Foundation, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, so, I for years and years had an opportunity to work directly with SAISD, which is, our largest urban school district. And, they have some great stories to tell. And, one thing that's true about, the pandemic that we're currently all experiencing is that it has a way of really highlighting major inequities that exist in the city. And, one of those is, we've experienced the shift of having to, teach kids remotely. And, you think, okay, well, we're going to put a plan in place, and now it's just, we're going to keep our kids safe, and it's, kids are going to learn from home. Well, that looks so different for every kid, depending on, where they live and what access they have to technology. And so, one of the things that we needed to do is just let folks know about the need that exists, in some of the neighborhoods that SAISD serves. So they did a wonderful job with their technology team in partnering with really major champions of the community to fund one-to-one technology for their students. And it's something that SAISD has been wanting to do, and it had it on a plan that was, I believe, a 5-year plan that they had to take from a 5-year plan and make it really like a 3-week plan. And so if you imagine, getting technology in students' hands is one thing, but then the educators that had to learn how to then shift their teaching to teach in a virtual format, that being one aspect of it, and everything that went into place to make that happen. And then, great, you get technology in students' hands, but what happens if they don't have access to internet? And so, there are many parts of town that just do not have access to high-speed internet. So the district also provided hotspots. And so, we were blessed to be a part of just telling that story, in addition to some other things that the district did, like providing food for students, actually taking food and delivering it to them through bus service, and so just incredible response. And so we did a series, I believe, of 4 or 5 videos for the district, but one in particular that was connected to technology is one that the foundation has used to just build awareness for that work and try to get more partners. And I just feel honored to be a part of that work, because it's some of the most important work that's happening in the city.
Well, I love this video. I absolutely love it. It really tugs at your heartstrings and really makes you more aware of the problem, the inequities that you were talking about between the different school districts and what children have available to them. So, I've heard people say, oh, it's terrible. Some of the kids don't have internet, some don't have computers, some don't have laptops. Well, you're going to watch this video, and this is your opportunity to reach out and donate some money so that these kids can have access, can have the technology they need to get an education. So let's roll that video and see what it's all about.
Great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
SAISD has always wanted to do a one-to-one device initiative. Our plan was to roll that out maybe in 3 years. So we took this 3-year plan and we compressed it into a 3-week plan. As soon as we knew that we were going to have an extended closure of school, we developed at the central office what we call our SAISD Digital Learning Playground. It's a combination of what we would call asynchronous learning, which is a student logs on, the teacher doesn't need to be there. And the other part is what we call synchronous touch points, which means that students go in at the same time as their teacher through an application called Zoom, and they connect face-to-face. We have many teachers that are doing daily morning messages for their students. Teachers might do some whole group instruction. They might just spend the time connecting with students socially and emotionally. And then we also have teachers who are doing individual tutoring electronically through that platform and small group instruction. And so very similarly to what students would get during the school year, we're trying to replicate that in the digital environment. In addition to students having a very robust learning experience, we wanted to make sure that we had all the devices that we need. For some of our students, they don't need either a computer or internet. They have that at home. Some students have internet, but they have no computer. And some students need both a computer and access to internet. So our principals have been able to, student by student, determine what the need is. At the end of this initiative, our goal is to make sure that we have a device in every student's hands. In order to meet that goal, we've ordered over 30,000 Chromebook laptops, and we're continuing to place orders as we see those needs arise. We're also in the process of meeting with community partners to see how we can broaden the access to internet. Any families and students that are just hearing this message, we encourage you to call your school, connect with your teacher, because they're waiting for you and they have a device for you if you need it. Also, any individual company or foundation who would like to help us can donate through our San Antonio ISD Foundation.
So very, very effective way to convey a message. Carlos did this video.
Yeah, well, first, it's go and interact with people the way that you normally would. So one kind of behind the scenes secret is that a lot of the kids in there are mine. There's a couple that are my kids, and then some other folks that a nephew and a couple of nephews that we had been social distancing with, and then just calling on some friends and some folks from the district to sort of record a couple of their own clips. And for me, it was just important to see the work being done. So I think it's one thing to hear the response and to be able to hear about all of the things that were done and how quickly the programs were implemented. But you also needed to see the devices being handed out. You needed to see the kids actually learning remotely and see the educators providing lessons in this new way. And part of that, what makes that special is that if you are the audience, these are experiences that you're living. If you have kids, right, or grandkids, you're seeing these images, and so these are the things that people will instantly connect with. But I thought it was a powerful story. But this really, a big secret to why our stories are powerful is when you're doing important work and your clients are having a tremendous impact. It's moving because those are the stories that really move people. So it's just a matter of us to organize that information and try to simplify the message in a way that we feel like will connect with folks.
It was a very, very powerful video. Christine, if there's a way that people want to find out more about the SAISD Foundation and what you do to participate, to help out, where can they look that up?
Yeah, they can go to saisdfoundation.com. And if you go to saisdfoundation.com/donate, there's the summary of the Connect campaign and everything that we've done. And one of the things that I really wanted to mention, I got a chance to read Carlos's book recently, and my response to him was, "My goodness, I think I came bald several times. I don't know if it's my COVID emotional response or you're just that good of a storyteller." And I think it's a little bit of both. But one of the things that just really resonated with me as a person and now as an employee of the foundation is just being authentic and recognizing that everybody has a story to share. It doesn't matter if you think you're a fly on the wall, you're not, oh, who am I? It doesn't matter. Everybody has a story to share, and it's powerful. And that authenticity, something that we've really learned from Carlos and having him as a board member. We said, okay, gosh, can you imagine? Carlos and I are lucky because we're both parents of SAISD students who happen to already have internet at home. But one of the first things I thought of was like, can you imagine what it would be like to be completely suddenly cut off from your teachers, the people that are most important to you? So that urgency was just extremely, it kept me up at night. And I think the same for Carlos. But one of the things that we said is, okay, we want to tell this story in an authentic way. So we started talking to teachers and asking them, what has it been like for you? Tell us about the process of trying to call these students and make sure, do you have an internet connection? How can you? It took such a monumental effort. And I got emotional listening to a teacher from Hawthorne saying, I think it took about 3 weeks to get a hotspot to this one family. And she told me, this child, he'd always been quiet in class. He hadn't really been, he'd one of this kid that didn't seem that engaged. He was so happy when he finally was able to connect with his classroom and me, his teacher, that he just kept asking questions. And after the Zoom call, he wanted to talk extra. So that just shows you, hearing that story, we shared that video too on the SAISD Foundation page. These are the memories that stick with us and are motivating us and saying, wow, okay, I understand why it's important to give. I understand why it's important to tell this story, because look at how it's impacting kids, look at how it's impacting teachers. And as a parent, like Carlos, I will say we are so, so grateful to the educators. And I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and trying to help them with online learning has been, wow, I'm humbled and I'm so grateful for the teachers. But Carlos's book really has a powerful way of reminding you, be authentic, tell the story, and have the clients you serve tell that story. And they do it best. Don't try and script it for them. Just listen to who you're serving, and they'll do a better job than you can. So anyway, it's very powerful.
Oh, Christina, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives on the book and also on the SAISD Foundation goals and the video. Really important work, and we're glad that Carlos is helping to put together the ideal message to get it across to the community, how important it is for all of us in the private sector to be involved and participate and help those who are less fortunate. So thank you so much, Christina, for being with us today. And thank you very much. And as she was mentioning, Mommy Light of God is a book that's not just a great guide on how to be a memorable storyteller. It also paints a great portrait of San Antonio's charitable community. The organizations and nonprofit work of the community is so important, and people here have always been very supportive of the needs of nonprofits. And Carlos, you just make it easier for people to understand why they're giving and why it's important with the work that you do.
Right. Yeah. I think that San Antonio has for years and years been under a microscope for the work that they do, because we really look the way that the country is going to look in the next 20 years, right? And so, we need to be able to get it right here, so that we can be a good model for what happens elsewhere. And so it's really been inspiring to see the organizations that have been on the ground doing this work for years and years. And I think what you're seeing now is the need has just increased. And so we're kind of in a time where more than ever we need to come together, and if we're in a position to be able to help, we need to highlight the causes that we most care about, and be a champion for those causes.
Yeah, that's really some great points to remember. So for people watching today, Carlos, what 3 or 4 key points can they take away as far as like being a great storyteller? What are the 3 things or 4 things you should remember when telling your story?
Yeah, I think that's the one I would say is that you already have all of the tools necessary, through just your life experience. You have things that make you unique, whether it's where you were born, or the family that you were born into, things that you've accomplished in your life, hard things that you've experienced, whether it's been through your own choices or the choices of others, or just life that's happened, and that all of those things really can be distilled and be used for good, even if they are hard, even if they're bad things, even bad choices that you made. There's no wasted experience. Even the hardest experience in your life, you get a few years removed from it, and it can be used to be inspiration for others. And so that's the thing I would say, is that you have what it takes to be a great storyteller. The second thing is just aim for the heart. I think a lot of organizations and even people, they like to focus on statistics, and statistics are important, but they're not what move people. What really moves people are the stories. So we could have, you saw the video earlier with the SCISD Foundation, we could have focused on solely just statistics and real numbers that communicate how many of our children in the city are living without access to internet. And we could have just given you that number, and you might have been like, wow, that's a big number. But that alone wouldn't have moved you. It doesn't move you like actually seeing the kids who are now, learning in a way that gives them instant access to the educators that they rely on so much, and seeing them in person. And I think, it's important to look for ways to aim for the heart, because people really remember the way that you made them feel, so much more than, what you say. And so, I think that's an important aspect to storytelling. When we focus on a story, we have an 80-20 principle, which is 80% pulling at the heartstrings, looking for ways to move people, and then 20% taking them to where you want them to go through information or a call to action.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Mm-hmm. It's right about in the book, this analogy that Chip and Dan Heath, who are authors I follow, there's a book that they wrote called Switch: How to Change When Change is Hard. And they write about this analogy of an elephant and a rider. And, that the rider is on top of the elephant. You would think that the person on top of the elephant is the one that has control, but it only has so much control when it comes to, this huge elephant, right? If the elephant is motivated to go in that direction, and the elephant representing sort of, pulling at the heart strings and the emotional side of us, the elephant's going to win, so let's put it into San Antonio terms. Let's say we're living in a world where Fiesta is back. We get to go to Fiesta. There's the intelligent, the sort of analytical side of us, the rider side that would say, I really need to save money, and I kind of trying to lose a little bit of weight. But then the emotional side was like, but I want a chicken on the stick, and they're so good, or funnel cake, right? And who's gonna win? Yeah, how many people go to Fiesta? Yeah, I think the emotional side of us normally wins. So that would be, the second thing is just to really aim for the heart. And then the last thing I'll say, and all of this is really in the book, is just to be to understand what it is about you that makes you unique, and make sure that everybody is speaking that same language. So if you are a nonprofit, that goes down to, your board president, to your most recent volunteer. They need to be speaking the same language and understand what makes you different, and why why your organization is providing value. I think that can work with an individual as well. If you're the preachy kind in the office, and always sort of judging people for what they do, and then someone goes on your Facebook page and you are like, have a completely different personality on Facebook, that's a lack of consistency, that's a lack of synergy. And so being authentic means being who you are, on social media, at work, so his friends and family, coworkers. That's what starts to build trust over a period of time. Is people, you back up what you say. You're consistent about it. You own it, and you share it with the world.
Mm-hmm. Very helpful tips on how to become a great storyteller. Carlos, thank you once again. You guys, this book is, we want to mention again, Amazon bestseller in several categories. You can get it as an ebook, also paperback, and are those, how else can you get it, Carlos? Those are two ways you can get it, ebook and paperback?
Yeah, or I'll be selling it out of the trunk of my car off Highway 90 if you find me. Mainly barnesandnoble.com, Amazon, and then I'll have copies of the book with me. And I should mention that all of the proceeds of any book sales that happen today will be donated to the SAISD Foundation. So if you are inclined and you would like to pick up a book, and you're interested, you can support the book and support the foundation at the same time. If you're not interested in the book, go donate the SAISD Foundation because it's a great cause.
Absolutely. Now you're going to have a drive-through book signing, a contactless book signing at 51 Essex Street. That's coming up July 28th, right?
Yeah. So a lot of my mom's friends have been asking if I'm going to do a book signing. So we can make the announcement here today that we actually, this is the first, we're announcing it, July 28th. It'll be very safe, contactless. If you have a book, I will sign it. I'll be wearing gloves, a mask, whatever I need to do, a hazmat suit. And lunch will be provided, a safe lunch. And if you don't have a book, you can go and we'll have books available for people to pick up too. So this is in lieu of doing a big launch event. We wanted to do something, and maybe we will when it's safe to do it. But this is going to be a way for you to be able to stay in the air condition and get a signed book. And there at Essex, there's some incredible artwork that you can check out while you wait. But we're going to try to keep it safe and keep it fun. So yeah, we hope to see you.
All right, well, great. Well, we're going to post the information for the Essex Street book signing, drive-through book signing on this feed for the live stream. And we're also going to post the link to the SAISD Foundation, as well as the link on how to purchase Carlos's book. So look for those in the comment section here as soon as we sign off. But Carlos, I want to thank you for sharing your story about your book and what you do with us here today. We loved hearing all about it and all the organizations that benefit from you putting together their video messages. And Christina, thank you so much also for joining us. We appreciate your time and your memories of y'all working together.
I could go on and on. No, really, it's such a positive experience to work with Carlos and learn from Carlos. And I'm so glad that we got to reconnect again through the foundation, and we could continue to tell those stories and benefit more kids and families and teachers. That's what it's about.
It's good stuff. And Carlos, when you set up that stand-up comedy seminar classes, I'm signing up. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we already talked about offline that maybe we can do a trade. I'll take you through some stand-up comedy lessons, and you can take me through some fitness lessons, and hopefully one of us won't die in the process.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I'm more concerned about me.
I won't kill you. I make bad jokes. That's about it.
No, you totally should do it, and so yes, that'll be our next thing. Look out for the next show where we trade talents.
Next episode. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carlos. Thanks, Christina. Thanks everybody for watching the Spotlight with Sarah this morning, or it's now afternoon. We've had such a good time chatting here, but we will be coming back with more great shows. So tune in. And again, thanks for watching. Have a great Monday. Have a great week, everybody. Bye, you all.